The first encounters have been almost amusing, if not for the underlying tension that humanity soon realized. In small towns across the globe, humanids wandered the streets with uncanny precision, walking like humans, but moving in ways that made the back of your neck tingle. They tried to wave, to smile, to blend in, but the gestures were ever so slightly wrong. People noticed the way their eyes lingered too long or flickered unnaturally, the way their laughter sounded like a recording played too fast. Children, unafraid of the uncanny, approached them with curiosity. A small boy offered one a baseball, and the creature fumbled, dropping it in a way that no human hand ever would. The boy laughed, a pure, unguarded sound, and the humanid tilted its head, confused, as it tried to decode the inexplicable warmth of human joy. Meanwhile, in laboratories and research centers, scientists worked tirelessly, observing, measuring, and recording. They marveled at the alien technology, but were equally captivated by the failure it exhibited in imitation. The aliens had mastered space travel, communication across light years, and the manipulation of matter itself. But replicating humans, their emotions, their spontaneity, proved insurmountable. Every experiment ended the same way: a glitch in expression, a hesitation in speech, a mechanical rigidity in movement. Attempts at empathy failed spectacularly. When a humanid was programmed to comfort a crying child, it would mirror the child's sobs in a perfectly synchronized rhythm, a haunting mimicry that terrified rather than soothed. The world watched as humanity responded, not with panic, but with humor, with ingenuity. Memes of awkwardly waving humanids spread like wildfire. Social media was flooded with videos of alien failures. A humanid trying to dance at a wedding, bending its limbs in ways that defied human anatomy, or mimicking a dog barking with bizarrely high-pitched noises. Scientists noted with astonishment that laughter, an unassuming human trait, became a defensive mechanism. Each laugh, each spontaneous act of humor or creativity, bewildered the aliens further. Humanity's unpredictability was a weapon. The tipping point came during a global broadcast. An alien delegation, newly arrived, attempted to present itself as a model of diplomacy. They stood on stage, mirroring human gestures with painstaking precision, reciting a speech that had been carefully transcribed from Earth literature. For a moment, they seemed convincing. Then a human child ran onto the stage chasing a butterfly. The aliens froze. Their rigid programming could not account for the unplanned, the whimsical. Cameras captured the moment live across the world. The delegation flailing awkwardly, their speech stuttering, their perfectly calculated smiles collapsing into grotesque parodies. Humanity erupted in laughter, not mockery, but a joyous affirmation of life's inherent unpredictability. It became clear that the aliens had misunderstood the essence of humanity. They thought humans were a collection of behaviors to be studied, replicated, optimized. But humans were not patterns. They were improvisation, instinct married with reasoning, empathy fused with self-interest, courage balanced by fear. No algorithm, no matter how advanced, could replicate the spark that set humans apart. Humanity thrived not because it followed rules perfectly, but because it bent them, questioned them, and broke them when necessary. As the humanids continued their efforts, their failures grew more pronounced. In laboratories, they attempted to cook meals but overcooked everything, following recipes in exact measures, yet missing the nuances of taste, timing, and intuition. In classrooms, they tried to teach, repeating facts flawlessly yet failing to inspire or understand curiosity. And in daily life, they imitated friendships, laughter, and love, but always just out of reach. They could mimic the motions, but the feelings eluded them. Humans, on the other hand, adapted. They did not wage war, at least not at first, but they used their greatest strength, creativity. Artists, engineers, and pranksters began to craft scenarios specifically designed to confuse the aliens, exploiting every nuance, every subtle human instinct. Humanids were caught chasing their own reflections, reacting to absurd situations with hesitation, and misinterpreting humor in ways that were both comical and tragic. Humanity watched and laughed, not cruelly, but in triumph, recognizing that their greatest asset was the very thing the aliens could never possess. And so, the world slowly realized that the invasion of imitation was not a threat. It was a testament to the resilience, ingenuity, and singular unpredictability of humans. The aliens, despite their superiority in technology and intellect, could never truly conquer the species that thrived on chaos, on laughter, and on the endless pursuit of life in all its messy, glorious imperfection. They had tried to copy humans and failed spectacularly, reminding the universe that some things could not be replicated, and that humanity was one of them. As months passed, the presence of humanids became a constant backdrop to human life. Entire neighborhoods reported sightings. Aliens trying to mow lawns, walk dogs, or mimic traffic behavior. At first, authorities attempted to enforce regulations, but it became clear that containment was impossible. The aliens weren't hostile. They simply lacked understanding. Humanity, ever adaptive, decided that observation and subtle guidance would be more effective than confrontation. One evening, in a bustling city square, a group of humanids gathered near a fountain, attempting to blend in with the crowd. They clumsily imitated people chatting, drinking coffee, and scrolling on their devices. A street performer began juggling flaming torches, attracting a crowd. The humanids tried to imitate the act, but each torch fell with clatter, causing small fires that were quickly extinguished by amused onlookers. Children laughed and cheered, and the aliens, unsure whether the applause was encouragement or critique, froze mid-gesture, their heads cocked at impossible angles. Meanwhile, scientists continued to study them. Dr. Elena Vargas, a leading anthropologist, noted something profound. They're learning, she said during a televised conference, but they're learning the wrong things. They copy the superficial aspects of humanity, the motions, the sounds, but they can't grasp the intent behind them. They can mimic laughter, but not humor. They can copy sadness, but not empathy. And that is our advantage. That is our strength. In the following months, this truth became the foundation of a subtle human resistance, not against the aliens in traditional sense, but against imitation itself. Artists, performers, and ordinary citizens began creating experiences specifically designed to challenge the humanids. Complex dance routines, improv theater, abstract paintings, and spontaneous public spectacles became tools of defiance. Each act, while ordinary to humans, became a puzzle the aliens could not solve. They would attempt to replicate, their stiff motions betraying their confusion, and fail spectacularly. The most memorable incident occurred at a global festival broadcast to millions. Humans had choreographed a performance that combined music, acrobatics, and audience participation. The humanids, instructed to join in as part of a goodwill gesture, followed each cue with precision, but misjudged timing, rhythm, and improvisation. They stumbled across the stage, their synchronized steps collapsing into chaos, and for the first time, a humanid froze entirely, unable to interpret a spontaneous cheer from a crowd. Laughter erupted worldwide. Humanity had created a moment so perfectly human that the aliens could not even approach it. In quiet moments, however, the humanids showed glimpses of something more. They watched human families, lovers, and friends with intense focus. They copied behaviors repeatedly, failing each time, but never giving up. There was an almost tragic persistence in their imitation. Humans observed this and felt a strange mix of amusement, pity, and pride. It was a reminder that intelligence alone did not define superiority. Understanding, emotion, and unpredictability were equally important, and those were uniquely human traits. By now, the aliens' failed attempts were shaping human culture. Entire industries grew around creating unreplicable experiences. Schools encouraged improvisation over rote learning. Cities began hosting festivals designed to bewilder the humanids, turning alien observation into a celebration of human creativity. It became clear that the universe, with all its advanced civilizations, had never encountered a species so defiantly unpredictable. Yet, humans never underestimated their visitors. Governments maintained careful monitoring, preparing for the possibility that the aliens might one day adapt. But even the most advanced intelligence could not fully replicate human spontaneity. In laboratories, in classrooms, in homes, the lesson became clear. No machine, no algorithm, no alien mind could ever replace the human spirit. The humanids continued to try, and humanity continued to live. And with each failure, each awkward imitation, humans were reminded not of their vulnerabilities, but of their extraordinary resilience. laughter, creativity, improvisation. These were not flaws. They were weapons, shields, and triumphs rolled into one. The aliens had traveled across the stars seeking to copy humanity, but they had underestimated the most essential truth of all. To be human was to defy replication. As time went on, humans began to realize that the aliens' greatest mistake was their obsession with perfection. Every humanid move with mechanical precision, every word carefully measured, every expression painstakingly copied. But humans were messy, flawed, and gloriously unpredictable. In classrooms, children invented new games on the spot, laughing as rules shifted mid-play. In offices, co-workers improvised solutions to impossible problems. In homes, arguments erupted and dissolved in unpredictable patterns, followed by reconciliation or stubborn silence. These tiny, chaotic details, so ordinary to humans, were utterly indecipherable to the aliens. One evening, a young inventor named Marcus Lynn stumbled upon an idea. If the humanids thrived on imitation, what would happen if humans amplified their unpredictability? He created what he called the Chaos Engine, a simple program that generated random, nonsensical instructions for daily tasks, games, and public performances. At first, it was a joke. People in the city square were instructed to dance backward while juggling imaginary objects or to sing lullabies to random street lamps. When the humanids attempted to join in, their programming failed utterly. They froze mid-motion, mimicked actions incorrectly, or repeated gestures in impossible loops. People laughed until tears ran down their faces. News of Marcus' invention spread like wildfire. Cities across the globe adopted the Chaos Engine, broadcasting it to public spaces, festivals, and even workplaces. The aliens, despite their technological superiority, could not keep up. They tried to anticipate the random sequences, but no calculation could account for pure human spontaneity. Each failed imitation became a lesson in human creativity and resilience. The world watched as the aliens, so confident in their ability to master humanity, became objects of fascination and amusement. Meanwhile, scientists discovered something else. The humanids were not simply failing. They were evolving, but their evolution was slow and flawed, like a machine trying to dream. Each failure in imitation left traces in their neural structure, making them slightly more human in movement, but never truly human in thought. They could learn patterns, but never the intent behind them. They could reproduce an action, but never the spark that gave it meaning. And humanity, free from such constraints, continued to flourish, to innovate, to laugh. The most striking moment came during a global demonstration of human ingenuity. Architects, dancers, musicians, and ordinary citizens collaborated to create a citywide performance unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered. Streets became stages, buildings turned into canvases, and citizens moved in coordinated chaos, improvising in ways that defied prediction. The humanids attempted to participate, mimicking gestures and reciting rehearsed lines, but their efforts collapsed under the sheer weight of unpredictability. Cameras captured them falling into fountains, collided with one another, and mimicking non-existent movements, all while humans cheered and laughed, reveling in their unique brilliance. It was in that moment that humanity truly understood the lesson the universe had offered. Strength was not measured in technological mastery alone. Intelligence, adaptability, and resilience were vital, but the essence of humanity lay in creativity, spontaneity, and the ability to defy expectation. Laughter, improvisation, and chaos were not weaknesses. They were weapons. They were shields. They were proof that no one, not even the most advanced alien civilization, could replicate the human spirit. Even as the humanids persisted, trying again and again, humanity had already claimed victory. Not through force, but through being unapologetically human. The aliens had traveled across galaxies, seeking to understand and copy a species, only to find that their greatest creation could never be fully replicated. Humanity had not merely survived, they had triumphed. And so, the world moved forward, embracing its unpredictability with renewed pride. Children ran through streets improvising games, artists painted in impossible patterns, and ordinary citizens laughed in the face of confusion. The humanids continued to try, their failures increasingly comical and tragic. And in every misstep, humanity was reminded of its greatest truth. It was impossible to imitate, impossible to predict, and impossible to defeat.